Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're uncovering how a post-World War II Japanese manufacturing philosophy didn't just stay glued to the factory floor, but actually transformed modern knowledge work across some wildly different industries. You know that feeling when you're bogged down by endless meetings, stalled projects, or just general workflow chaos? Well, what we're exploring today matters right now, because the solutions to those everyday office headaches were actually solved decades ago on assembly lines. So let's dive right in. Think about this for a second. What do a massive Californian oil rig, a sleek Swedish streaming music app, and a hyper-precise semiconductor factory actually have in common? I mean, these are totally opposite environments, right? You've got roughnecks drilling deep into the earth, software developers writing code in cozy Stockholm offices, and engineers in literal clean suits examining microscopic chips. But the answer that ties them all together? It's not a specific software tool or some massive piece of heavy machinery. It's actually a shared, revolutionary mindset about how work simply gets done. To connect these seemingly random dots into one cohesive management theory, we'll follow this quick roadmap. 1. The war on waste. 2. 3 metrics of time. 3. Lead in the oil field. 4. Music and microchips. And 5. The universal lean mindset. Starting with Section 1, the war on waste. Let's look at the absolute foundation of modern efficiency. So the famous Toyota production system relies on two main pillars. First up is just-in-time production, which is all about matching supply directly with demand, basically producing exactly what the customer needs, exactly when they need it. Historically, companies would build these massive, ridiculously expensive inventories just to have stuff on hand that tied up millions in capital and warehousing costs. Just in time, it completely eliminates that bloat. On the flip side, we have Jidoka. This is this brilliant concept of quality in station. It literally empowers anyone on the floor to hit the brakes and stop the line to ensure quality. It prevents known defects from moving forward. You catch the error the split second it happens, rather than after the whole product is already finished. Now, the ultimate enemy of this lean system is broken down into 3 domains of waste: muda, mura, and muri. First, muda is direct waste. Think physical excess inventory or just unnecessary moving around. But especially for knowledge workers, underutilizing people's creativity is a massive form of muda. If you've got brilliant minds stuck in pointless meetings instead of using their unique skills, that's a total failure of lean management. Then we have mura, which means unevenness. You know the drill. Your team has absolutely nothing to do on Monday, but they're frantically pulling an all-nighter on Thursday to hit a deadline. It's that exhausting roller coaster of workflow. Finally, there's muri, meaning overburden. This is pushing machines or people way beyond their natural limits, which of course leads straight to burnout and inevitable mistakes. The whole goal of lean is to completely eliminate all 3 to create a smooth, sustainable workflow. Moving on to Section 2, 3 metrics of time. We really need this specific vocabulary to measure this kind of invisible knowledge work. First up, we've got lead time. This gives you the big picture view of how long an entire project takes from the very first request to the final customer delivery and payment. It's the ultimate measure of the total turnaround from the customer's perspective. Think of it like ordering a custom laptop online. The lead time is that entire agonizing wait from the moment you click buy to the moment that cardboard box finally shows up at your front door. Next is cycle time. This represents the specific time frame your team actually spends in active production. It strips away all that waiting around in queues and focuses purely on the time spent actively adding value. Going back to that laptop example, your cycle time is only the few hours the factory workers actually spent assembling the hard drive, the screen, and the keyboard. It completely ignores all the time the laptop spent just sitting on a shipping truck or waiting in a warehouse. So the real magic happens when you compare these two. If your team's cycle time is way lower than the overall lead time, projects are probably stalling out in processing or approval phases. That's your bottleneck. Think about it. Your team might be working incredibly fast, actively coding or building something in just 2 days. But if that same project then sits on a manager's desk for 2 whole weeks, just waiting for a quick signature, your lead time absolutely explodes. The customer is stuck waiting, totally unaware that the actual work was finished days ago. Finally, we have tax time. Derived from the German word for pulse, this establishes the perfect heartbeat for a project team so they don't underwork or overwork. Finding this rhythm ensures a super smooth, predictable flow of value directly to the customer. In a real office, if your tech time is off, it means people are either sitting around bored waiting for assignments, which, remember, is our old friend Mura, unevenness, or they're chronically staying past 7 p.m.,
burning out trying to hit totally unrealistic daily quotas, which is Muri, overburden. Tack time keeps the whole office breathing at a healthy, steady pace.
All right, Section 3, lean in the oil field. Let's see how all this theory actually plays out in a heavy industry environment.
Picture this. It's 1998, and Era Energy just got slammed by an 18-year low oil price of just $7.90 per barrel. I mean, wow, $7.90. This wasn't just some minor dip in the market. This was full-blown panic mode. We're talking an existential threat to the company, looming layoffs, and a desperate need to survive an unprecedented crash. Standard, run-of-the-mill cost-cutting just wasn't going to cut it anymore. To avoid going completely under, they needed a totally new operational paradigm. They were forced into making a drastic, massive step change in efficiency.
To adapt to this, Era implemented a really precise 5-step lean strategy. Define product value, map the value streams, create flow, establish pull, and continue improving. What this actually meant for their geoscience and engineering pros was a massive shift. They went from constantly putting out fires and reacting to daily emergencies to actually performing proactive, value-added creative work. Establishing pull in an oil field meant they stopped just drilling and pumping as fast as humanly possible, which used to create these massive, super expensive backlogs of unrefined oil. Instead, they only pulled work based strictly on actual downstream demand. By mapping every single step and ruthlessly eliminating the waste, they transformed a chaotic, reactive drilling environment into a beautifully streamlined, highly predictable manufacturing process. Section 4, Music and Microchips. Now let's completely pivot over to the digital and hardware realms to apply these exact same concepts. So both Spotify and Intel rely heavily on Kanban boards like Jira to take their entirely invisible workflows and make them visible. They do this by carefully limiting their work in progress to prevent the whole system from overloading. Imagine a digital board where every single task is a card. You've got simple columns like to do, in progress, and done. When tasks get organized like this, something really beautiful happens. You can literally watch a project flow from left to right. And hey, if 10 cards suddenly pile up in the awaiting review column, boom, the bottleneck becomes glaringly obvious. It lets the team stop, swarm the problem, and actually fix their flow in real time, rather than just blindly starting up even more work. And the side-by-side results of applying this mindset? Absolutely staggering. Over at Intel, they slashed their production cycle times by a whopping 62%. Not only that, they dropped their massive physical inventory by 33% with their Just Say Yes initiative, leaning really hard into those just-in-time principles. Meanwhile, over in the software world, Spotify started using autonomous cross-functional squads to rapidly iterate and launch wildly successful features, totally bypassing all that typical corporate red tape. For Spotify, this lean agility led directly to their innovative Discover Weekly feature, hitting 1 billion streams in just 10 weeks. 1 billion. It's the exact same underlying philosophy, applied to completely different industries, resulting in massive, absolute game-changing successes.
And finally, Section 5, the universal lean mindset. Let's bring this all together.
At the very heart of all of this is Kaizen, the practice of continuous improvement. This principle proves that true efficiency is an ongoing daily journey no matter what industry you're in. It's definitely not a final destination you just reach and then forget about. Lean is actually never really finished. It's a relentless, everyday pursuit of removing waste, smoothing out that unevenness, and enhancing value. And honestly, the most powerful part of Kaizen is that it's driven from the bottom up. It relies entirely on the people actually doing the work. The developers, the rig workers, the engineers feeling totally empowered to raise their hands, stop the line, and say, hey, I see a better way to do this. So, I want to leave you with this. If your team's workflow was mapped out today, would it reveal a smooth, value-driven stream or a giant bottleneck of hidden waste just waiting to be eliminated? Think about where your time is really going to go tomorrow. Are you actively adding value, or are you stuck in the unevenness and overburden of modern work? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep striving for that perfect pulse.